एक साइड में खोल दो। खोल दो सबके लिए। अभी चेटिंग थोड़ी देर खोलो, आवाज वगैरह इसको दो। हाँ डॉक्टर मुनादा स्टार्ट करें। हेलो
जी जी
स्टार्ट कर दें।
12:15 हो रहे हैं ना, 12:15 हुए हैं, 2 मिनट स्टूडेंट्स और आ जाए।
ओके ओके ओके।
Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you all are well. Today we're going to talk about occupational health. First of all, why do you think then that we should be talking about occupational health in community medicine? So, as we all know, that community medicine is basically public health, and when we talk about occupational health, is anything and everything to do with the population, with the community. Of course, there are different types of occupations and there are different types of um, workplaces. So all that involves a community. So when we're talking about community, we will have to talk about their health. And when we talk about their health, they're related to their occupations. So it is going to be occupational health. Okay? So today we will be talking about concept of ergonomics and occupational environment, and then the occupational hazards and their related occupational diseases, measures for health protection of workers, and measures for prevention of occupational diseases. So, first of all, what is occupational health? as I said, that whenever we are working somewhere, may it be a desk job or a physical job in a factory, or a farmer's job in a farm or an orchard, or if we're talking about all those who are with the airspace, the planes, the flights, and also everybody and anybody is like somehow or the other working. So when we talk about occupational health, it is basically the promotion and maintenance of physical, mental, and social well-being of the workers. Whenever we talk about health, health at large encompasses all these things: the physical health, the mental health, the social health, and then well-being of the workers. So this is well-being of the workers is an additional part to the definition of health, and which sort of signifies it as the occupational health. And of course, we need to talk about prevention amongst workers, and then protection from risks, and how and where the employee is being placed is also part of occupational health. For example, I mean, if there are different criterias for different type of jobs. When we're talking about joining an army, so of course the way, the kind of built a person would have would matter, you know. So we have those the ISSB tests, and then checking their height, and then their weight and their strength. So of course that is important, whether they will be able to bear the consequences of being in an army, right? For example. And then if we talk about other expertise, like if I'm talking about research, so of course I would have to have that mental level to be able to do the research or the training, right? So it is important that where and how a person is placed, and that is addressed by occupational health. We already have a मेरी आवाज clear नहीं आ रही. Okay. Can you hear me now? Is it better? Can you please type and let me know? Okay, thank you. So this is what occupational health is all like, you know, the definition of occupational health. Okay, then we come across a terminology which is known as ergonomics. Ergonomics is simply, I would say, the fitting the job to the worker. Like I mentioned, that placement is important. What kind of a job can be done by who, right? So ergonomics also talks about where and how one can be placed. But in this case, when we're talking about ergonomics, we're talking about different designs of the machine. As simple as the doorknob. If the doorknob is not comfortable to be opened by Darban, by the Chokidar, so if he may develop some kind of carpal tunnel syndrome, or maybe because of the repeated movement he will have. If a door has a very heavy doorknobs, and that requires a lot of pressure, and if we have somebody who's not able to deal with or is not so strong to turn the knob regularly, like, you know, doing it maybe 100 times a day because it's his job. So if the machines are not like, you know, sort of done the right way, they will of course affect the overall health, right? And when we talk about layout, for example, in a post office, when a person who is stamping the envelopes, if the envelopes are not placed in the right position for this for the worker to approach it, if he has to walk all the way to the other end to get that uh, to get that envelope, and then he comes back, and then he stamps, and then he goes back, and then, so it is going to affect his if he is doing it regularly on daily basis, maybe 500 times, of course it's going to affect it. So the layout is important. For example, in some places, they have this if we're talking about a kitchen, so the right triangle should be between the fridge, the stove, and the sink. If it is not put it in the right triangle, it is going to affect that chef who's going to move around in the kitchen. So layout is also very important. And then methods of work and environment, of course, is very important. So all these things combined together to be called as the ergonomics, right? So for example, here, do you find anything wrong with these pictures? Can you please type in your chat box? Is there anything wrong with picture 1 and picture 2? I don't see any messages. The woman is hunching as she types, right? What about picture 2? Do you think this is a good tailor, or what would you call that in English? I'm just wondering. A cart, okay. The vegetable cart, yes. So what do you think about picture 2? It's loaded and unbalanced. So it is going to really affect the person who is going to pull it, yes? So this is what we meant by, if we do not cater to these, then it is going to definitely affect, okay? So don't you think these pictures are better? The female is sitting the right way, and then the vegetable cart is placed the right way, in the sense that it is, the boy who's pushing it does not have to bend, so that it is not going to affect his back that bad, right? So we need to focus on all these things when we're talking about occupational health, right? Okay. So we have different kinds of environment in occupational health. That is man with physical, chemical, and biological agents. Then we have man with machines, and then we have man with man. Okay. When we talk about physical, chemical, and biological environment, of course, it is important when there is cold, heat, humid air. Remember, we had a very massive heat wave when we were talking about, so there was lots of humid air and lots of heat at that time, and then there were lots of laborers who were working, and then unfortunately there was unfortunately, I mean, the people were fasting, and there was deep heat, and so there was a lot of deaths occurring. So that is important, that the temperatures are maintained when we are talking about the environment in an whenever you working, wherever you're working, right? Then of course the light, the noise, the vibration, and ionizing radiation. I'll be explaining this further also. And then of course working space is important, the breathing space, the toilets, the washing facility. Are they enough? Are they up to the mark, right? And then we're talking about chemical agents. So we have chemicals, toxic dusts, and gases when people are working in different factories of especially of paints and dyes. So we have to be taking all the precautions, right? Using the right kind of mask, and then right kind of gloves, and and then we should have proper placement at the right time, and then there should be a specific time assigned for a person, and not like working there for hundreds and hundreds of years or hours, and of course I don't mean literally hundreds and hundreds, but what I mean to say that there should be assigned time which in the long run would not affect your health. If there's some kind of a chemical inhalation or toxic dust around, so only 3 to 4 hours, and then you should have a break to go out and work and breathe and have your space time and then come back, right? So it should be there. Biological agents, of course, the farmers, if we, even if we are like to these days talking about doctors with corona, with infectious diseases, right? So if they come in contact with that, of course they're going to acquire it themselves. So we have to take all the precautions, and all these which are addressing it will come in the domain of occupational health. So it is important that we take care of these occupational health. Then we have man and machine. By man and machine, we have to take care of it should not be unguarded machine. There should not be any protruded and moving parts, and if there are, you have to take extra caution. Poor installation of plants and lack of safety measures. The right type of goggles are not being used, or the hat is not being used, or the apron is not being used, right? For example, if we are talking about radiology, the radiologists have to be using the right type of lead gowns so that they are protected against the radioactive waves, right? So that's also important. We have to we should take care that there shouldn't be no long working hours, because especially, I mean, it should not be there in any case, but in this case, when we're talking about man and machine, it is going to be very dangerous. For example, if the machine is does not have the right kind of installation, and if you have been working for long hours, and if you're sleepy, and you do not have the right kind of posture, of course it is going to affect, right? Yes, Moise, there are regular incidents of accidental amputations, and this is the reason why labor law talks about occupational health, and why we as a public health person are talking about occupational health. But ironically, sometimes what happens is that there are rules there, but they are not being implemented the right way. For example, even if we're in radiology, when we go, how many of you have actually seen people wearing those lead gowns which would protect them from radioactive waves? So it is like not being implemented. The lead gowns are there. The people are very casual and they do not understand. So they should have a regular check how or what are they being used. But then for the reason why we need to teach you all this also, that once you become the physician, you will know the right way. And when you know the right way, you will be able to talk about it, or try to implement it, right? So this is important that you should know. Okay, and then this is one of the very, very I would say dangerous thing, man and man. It is very important. If you do not have good working environment in your workplace, actually anywhere and everywhere, but then if you do not have it in your workplace, because that is the half of the day of your life, you spent in your workplace. So if you do have different kind of varied relationships, of course you have ups and downs, but then you do not have like, if you do not have the right kind of boss, if you do not have right kind of subordinates, if you do not have the right type of colleagues or peers, you are going to have major psychological issues or like, a hassle between the two. So it is important for your stability, it is important for your job satisfaction. And then if, for example, you are working hard and at the end of the day you're not being appreciated for it, of course you're going to feel very negated. Yeah, you will not like to work further for the betterment. And somebody who does not deserve it is getting the uh, appreciation. So of course you're going to be demotivated. So it is very important that you have a good and man-to-man relationship, and you know the overall relationship amongst your peers. Okay, as I said earlier that I'm going to explain. So the occupational hazards, they could be of different types: the physical, chemical, biological, mechanical, and psychosocial. These are all the environments that we've talked about, and now we are going to go in detail that what could be hazardous for you all. So for anybody who's working. Okay, so when we are talking about heat and cold, so of course it causes burns. Of course, the high cold weathers also can have, excuse me, I'm sorry. So if extreme heats can burn, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, chilblains, immersion foot, and first right. These are all the things which you can acquire if the right type of temperature is not maintained for you all, or for if the right type of gadget or clothes are not handed over to the employees, right? Uh, Light, it causes poor illumination and can cause eye strain, headache, eye pain, and eye fatigue. Whereas exposure of excessive light can also cause discomfort, annoyance, and visual fatigue. When we talk about noise, there could be auditory and non-auditory effects. The auditory, of course, that you will have temporary or permanent hearing loss. But then if non-auditory effects, that is, it is not directly related to your hearing, it could produce nervousness, fatigue, and annoyance. Sometimes it does happen, when you're driving, you see there's lots and lots of noise pollution coming from outside. So you sort of tend to close your windows saying, oh my God, this is so annoying. So this is what annoyance by non-auditory effects we mean, the annoyance, right? Then we have the vibration effect, which affects hands and arms and finer blood vessels, and which may become sensitive to spasm. White fingers can occur because of lack of blood supply. Then we have ultraviolet radiations, which are in welding, which affects the eyes, causing intense conjunctivitis and keratitis, welder's flash. Then we have X-rays, radioactive, that we've already talked about, which can cause malformation, cancer, leukemia, and all. Chemical hazards would include, there could be local action, there could be inhalational, and then ingestional. So local, if you are touching some kind of paints with the which is harmful, that is lead, or so you may develop some kind of dermatitis or eczema. Otherwise, inhalation would be, when we are working in pottery, and we're talking that working in different marble factories or steel factories, right? So it would produce inhalational, or for example, we have different toxic effects of lead, mercury, arsenic, chromium, and all. And then we have ingestional, where we can have like unfortunate ingestion of mercury, and that is being like in Japan there was a major case where they were having uh, mercury poisoning. And later on, it was found out that all those people who were eating a particular type of fish, which was like in a particular area where there was mercury pollution, so they were ingesting, the fishes were ingesting the mercury, and then those fishes which were being ingested by the males of the people also had mercury poisoning. So it's very, very important. Um, Hello, can you guys hear me? Then we have biological. Okay, great. Then we have biological hazards. Workers may be exposed to infective and parasitic agents. We've talked about this. People who are dealing with the cattles and farms and maybe in some kind of a laboratory. So they are exposed to biological hazards. And then we have the mechanical hazards. We've talked about this also. The moving parts and protrusion, protruding part of the machinery, which can affect. And then psychological hazards is lack of job satisfaction, insecurity, relationship due to poor human relationship due to factors like education. You may have the right kind of education, but they are not. Then you're not being appreciated, so it is going to be very frustrating. You know. Okay. Uh, these are different types of occupational diseases that happen due to different exposures. Okay, there's this lung disease, which generally we have due to inhalation and you know when we inhale the different dust particles. So it is known as pneumoconiasis, and it is an important disease. So we discuss it in occupational health. So the dust particles could be 0.5 to 3 microns, and they, because of the fineness and the concentration, and then the period of exposure. For example, if somebody has like been exposed to those fine materials for only half an hour, it is not going to be affecting so badly as when it will have it for 2 hours or 5 hours or 10 hours at a stretch. Okay, so it's very important. The kind of different kind of dust that can cause pneumoconiasis is inorganic dust and organic dust. In organic dust, we have free silica, which causes silicosis. Coal causes anthracosis. The silicates of magnesium, calcium, or sodium can cause asbestosis. Sugarcane dust, which is an organic dust, causes bagasosis. Cotton fiber bisonosis, and farmer's lung is moldy hay grade dust. Okay. Measures for health protection of workers, which is important. We will they cater for the nutrition of the employees. Communicable disease control is important. Environmental sanitation is important. Proper water supply, food, toilet, cleanliness is given. Then mental health is important. Measures for women and children separately is important. Health education is important. And family planning is important. So all these things are or should be provided to the workers. These are the basic things which should be given. then prevention of occupational diseases, how would you take care of it is we have medical measures, we have engineering measures, and then we have legislations. So in medical measures, we talk about pre-placement examination, periodic examination, medical and healthcare services, notification, supervision of working environment, maintenance and analysis of records, and health education. Okay, so when we talk about pre-placement examination, whenever an employee enters a job, he has to go through a pre-placement examination. So the simple blood tests, X-ray, ECGs. These are done to see what is the baseline. For example, if somebody who joins in and already has some kind of a chest infection, so this would help us place that person in the factory also. Probably we will place him in an area where it is not a closed environment, or we will place him where there is, you know, less exposure to the inhalational stuff, right? And one thing, and then another thing is, then later on, when, for example, a person after he has been placed, and in another year his X-ray chest is done, if the baseline was not done, he may claim saying that I have gotten this disease because of working in your in your workplace or in your organization. So I want to claim for that. So to save yourself, you need to do these pre-placement examinations. Okay? I'm sorry, today my lecture is totally a didactic one. It's a one track thing. I really wish that we could have had a more of a discussion. But if there's anything that you have not understood till now, I don't think there was any rocket science in it. So, but if you need any explanation, please go ahead. You can type in your chat boxes. Then we have the periodical examination. Of course, it is going to help. For example, in different organizations, different packages are being paid. To some, it is in some it is given a certain amount of money that you can get the your medicines or your tests done, and in some they do periodical examination regularly rather than just giving them the amount, right? Then we have medical and healthcare services being provided by the organization, which of course provides the first aid and basic functions. If there is any issue or for compensation, notification should be made. For example, a person who's not well and cannot come, he should inform his heads so that to tell them that maybe they can provide them unpaid or paid leaves or something like that, So if unless you notify them, it cannot be done. Then we have supervision of working environment. Periodic inspection should be done or is done in organizations where the machineries are being checked, whether something has gone wrong in the machineries, so that which needs to be repaired, or while walking on the stairs, there is a break in the stairs. So that is also important, that you get that marble changed so that nobody falls. So environment is important. And then if the cleanliness is there or not, if proper toilets are functional toilets are there or not, right? And then the right kind of night work or shift is there. For example, there are different working hours. So it should be seen that whether there's no overtime being done by people who cannot do it. So we need to keep track of this. Okay, so these were the medical measures. Now is the engineering measures. Engineering measures include the design of the building. It is important that how the types of floors, wall height, in PMDC or PMC now has a set rule that this many students can be admitted to the college not until they have this room and they have proper ventilation, they have proper windows, they have exit doors. So, I mean, if in case of an emergency, they do not have to like crowd through one door only. If you can see the building here, which is the Baldia town building, you know why people died there? No, because what they did was one thing, they were not used to the drill that in God forbid if something worse happens, where are they going to run out from? And then because of that, they got panicked and they rushed into the basement, and then they were like, blocked in the basement and could not come out. So you have to have proper ventilation, proper windows, proper exit doors, which would help you come out, right? Then you have to have good housekeeping. It should be neat and clean. Proper jharu pocha should be done. Proper, mopping should be done. Okay. Mechanization. The same ponds that are being done by hand now are being done by machine. So it is important that how this is. So you see here, if it was being done by hand, so lot of people were required. Touching the material could produce some kind of a if coming in contact dermatitis or something like that. But here he's conning the cobs with this machine, so only one person is required and a lot of work is being done, right? Substitution is important. By substitution we mean that when ever we are using some kind of a material, we should use something which is less harmful. For example, if it was being used that zinc or iron was being used earlier, lead was being used earlier, but now zinc or iron is being used in paint, which is less harmful. Also, it is important that we use something which is less harmful. Yes, Moise, it was Baldia town building. Okay. For dust, we need to have the proper spraying of water. So, for example, see, this is a coal mine, and if he is sort of cutting this or going, going into the different ores, if we have a water sprayed with this, so what it is going to do, it is going to settle the minute particles, and it is not going to be inhaled by this person here, right? So it is important we have water sprays or proper type of fans used so that they are, dusted somewhere else and not being inhaled by the employees. This is like in this picture, they are making the roads. So the dust, if they are sort of putting water on here, so it is going to settle the dust. Okay. Enclosures are important. In olden days, when they have those, the places where they were grinding the mills, so they were having all this, and this mill is going to grind wheat, but then the husk is going to be in the air. So it is always better to have it in a closed environment, in a closed silo, so where on the top they are being grinded and they are being stored here, right? So it is like, it gives a cleaner environment rather than an open environment here. If, for example, if there's anything that is very harmful, what you need to do is have proper isolation. So this is a picture of CERN, CERN, which is in Switzerland, and it is a reactor plant. It is called a Large Hadron Collider, which looks on the top like this, and inside it is like this somewhere. And it was there were so many pictures. You can just go and Google it, Large Hadron Collider, which would it is the highest energy particle accelerator, and it has a huge tunnel, a circular tunnel with a circumference of 26.7 kilometers. So you can well imagine, and at the depth of ranging from 50 to 175 meters underground. So it is important that it is such a highly reactive machinery, and it is going to produce highly reactive objects, the material. So what it is going to do is, what it does is that it has it deep down in. This is the earth, and this is all dug in. And it's a whole world there, believe me. Of course, you have to have your protective devices, the right kind of goggles, the right kind of hat, the gloves, and all that, right? Environmental monitoring is important. Periodical surveys should be done. Statistical monitoring at regular intervals should be done. And then researches should be done so as to provide the understanding of the industrial health problems and to define them better, right? Then comes the legislation, health, safety, and welfare. As we talked about higher up, somebody mentioned saying that there are different kinds of amputations. See, if God forbid something has to happen, has to happen. But then, of course, so there are some times which is very unnecessary in the sense, and they were done because of human errors. The people who are in need of money, they work for long hours. They do not take leaves. They are like, under 18 working for organizations. Then different kinds of health and safety is not being taken care of. So it is important that this legislation is implemented. We have these working hours, 48 hours per week for 118 plus, and 42 hours per week for under 18. Now, under 18 also, it is there are other prerequisites that they can do it in the morning hours only, the under 18 ones, and that also is not below 16. So it's 16 to 18, who can work for 42 hours and have to be doing it in the mornings. You have to have 14 days annual leave. You have to have 10-day casual leaves, and you have to have 16 days medical leaves. But then again, if it is not being implemented, it is anybody and everybody can go and report. This is a video that I had downloaded, but you all can go through it. Or do you want me to show it to you here? Hello? Anybody there?